Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, coming at you live to talk about episode 7 of season 1 of Seth MacFarlane's The Orville, entitled Majority Rule. And I watched this episode on pins and needles. I'm telling you, something fierce. This episode properly unsettled me, and it all has to do with how relatable and analogous and allegorical it is. To 2017, to our modern world. Holy crap. Wow. This was a palpable episode. This was traditional sort of, I was reminded of things such as The Twilight Zone and The Outer Limits, these really thought-provoking types of series. The original Star Trek, the 1960s Star Trek, the original series. The thought-provoking stories they could tell, the sort of through the looking glass, through the microscope, looking at humanity, observing our culture, and just sometimes the weird oddities that make humanity what it is. The human condition, in sometimes all of its poorest estimations, as well as the celebratory ones. And just... my God, especially being somebody who makes YouTube videos as a hobby, reacts to things, and, you have movies that come out and they get hundreds of millions of downvotes or upvotes, and a whole culture, a whole world, a whole species based around that, like literal democracy, where every voice is literally heard, for better or worse, and we're seeing... at least, the gist I got through the prismatic vision of this is, it's for the worse, for the most part. There's good and bad out of it, I think. People are on their best behavior. They're respectable toward each other, and there's probably not discrimination, unless, of course, you're somebody who has tremendous downvotes, and they accumulate, and it just gets worse and worse for you as they do, and we see just how bad it gets. And it's just, I was flabbergasted by this episode. Like I said, I was on pins and needles. I was watching this with such unease. And I like that they dialed back the humor quite a bit. I mean, there were a couple of moments that kind of made me chuckle or made me roll my eyes, but very, very few and far between. Almost non-existent. They amped up the drama, and I have said, from the word go, watching The Orville, the thing that I feel personally excels is the drama and the acting. Jay Lee, who was very much the focused character who befell this bad scenario, was just pitch perfect in his performance as an outsider, as a fish out of water, not being able to make sense of this, not taking it seriously to start with, until he realizes, this is something very much to be taken seriously. Your own life, your brain, the thing that makes you who you are, is at risk here. And when he realizes that, it's not in fun anymore, it's a very serious thing. The one point where he finds out, they could fry your brain, and he tries to jump out of the room and I'm a spaceman. I'm like, that's what any single one of us would do in that scenario. Of course, then he has to be dialed back. He's reined back in by First Officer Kelly and everything like that. And I didn't really think she deserved the blame, even though she is in command of the landing party, the away team, whatever you want to call it, landing team, I think they said is how they referred to it. So in a sense, by an extension, because she is supposed to be in command, the leadership role, the hierarchy of that, I guess kind of sort of loosely, it's her responsibility, but it wasn't, I thought it was interesting. Yet again, we're playing on, Alara Katan's poor relationship scenario. I feel so bad for this girl. She's so adorable, and she's got strength, out of this world strength and everything like that. I'm completely smitten with all of that, and I cannot wrap my mind around how anyone else would not be smitten with her and have no issues whatsoever with her being that strong and everything like that, would be intimidated by her and everything. If she gets a little rough in bed, yeah, maybe. Okay, that could be a problem. But I like the character building there. I wish we kind of had a little more character building along similar lines. We're learning, you know, a lot about her every single episode. They point it out every single episode, and now it's 2 relationships she's broken up or whatever. And it's kind of becoming a one-note thing in the fact that, well, it's the same story every time. She broke up with yet another guy or whatever. You know, I don't know why they just keep banging on and on and on with that, but it is the sort of open doorway through which, you know, the discussion comes up about the guy was a funky dancer. So, of course, John Lamar, the, you know, helmsman, he's like, well, what's grinding? What's, you know, too far? What's pushing it too far? Grinds up against the statue, and this gets him in trouble because everyone, you know, it's very much the internet age like it is now. Everyone's got cell phones with cameras and videos, and everything happens in real time, for better or worse, you know. And so just the reactionary mob mentality that surrounds that, you see the viciousness, the vileness of that. People, they don't need a context. They just, you know, slap away the upvotes or downvotes without a second thought, just on an impression. And how, you know, how gobsmackingly psychotic that can be. And so his world just goes right down the toilet, and it's not even his world, you know. And so again, I mean, bonus points for Jay Lee's performance in this. From the fun-loving start where he's humping a statue, kind of, almost, you know, to the sheer terror. And trying to put on a game face unconvincingly. You know, when an actor pretends to be someone who's badly acting, or in this case, you know, not very apologetic, he's trying, but he doesn't quite get what he's supposed to do to try to win people over to him. When an actor can make his performance seem bad, but on purpose like that, it's spectacular. I loved it. I like... You highly relate to him in that moment, because what would you do? You're on a completely different planet, an alien culture, and they're force feeding you this nonsense, this absurdity. Of course you're going to have a problem swallowing it and playing along, because the whole time you're like, what the hell am I doing here? Beam me out. Come on, shuttle me out. Let's go. You know, and it was superb on his part. Same with Kelly. You know, the direness of the circumstance, the fact she's constantly radioing back to the Orville, to Ed Mercer, you know, the captain, just getting more and more tense and feeling more and more, you know, sort of unbridled with worry and concern. Like, what are we going to do here? I don't know, you know, because she's the command component in that. Of course, you know, she feels somewhat responsible, and she's going to feel highly, highly guilty if she can't figure something out. They're overruled by the Admiralty. You're not going in there. You're going to play by the rules of the world. And I like that we had some, you know, recognizable faces in the annals of Star Trek showing up in this episode. And it just, man, the intensity. And it got down to the wire. I'm glad in the end, when the votes are all being telebrated, you know, it didn't go right to like one shy of the kill vote. It was like a few before that. Then it petered out and stopped. One mild criticism would be when they figured out, oh, they can manipulate the feed. You know, I was kind of thinking throughout the entirety of the episode, why don't they just hack the feed somehow? You know, something like that. And manipulate it. Of course, that probably would have been detected, you know, with the modern technology somehow, some way, and that there were outside influences that would have been allegorical to some of the, you know, things on people's minds to do with the democracy of the United States, you know, voter manipulation, stuff like that. But, you know, I'm glad they didn't sort of go that route after all. But the minor sort of criticism I had is when they like made this mock-up video of a soldier returning home, John returning home, and being welcomed by his dog. That just happened a little too quick. Like all they had to do was like it was like Running Man technology where they implanted the face of Arnold Schwarzenegger over a body double or something like that. It's kind of sort of the same thing here. It just happened a little too quick. I wish they would have said it like and then waited a beat before they got to it, before they showed it. It was almost instantaneous, and that says to me unconvincing. So. That's like the only gripe I have about the whole episode. Just that video that they uploaded to the feed, it just was created a little too quickly. Everything else about this episode was just classic television, classic thought-provoking, unnerving, unsettling, grab you by the lapels and shake you for your dear life intense. Because of how closely it resembles our world, because of how, just an offshoot of reality that sort of mentality could be. You think of Facebook, you think of Twitter, you think of YouTube. There are thumbs ups, thumbs downs everywhere. A movie like the 2016 Ghostbusters comes out. The casting of a woman to play the Doctor in Doctor Who, and Star Trek Discovery, comes out, and even the Orville, there are detractors of it, and such like that. And the mob mentality of just smashing those downvotes. Imagine that's the democracy. Imagine that's what's the deciding factor of law, of persecution. I mean, whoa, just... wow, it's so terrifying to me, and I can't give. This is like the best episode of this show. This could be the best episode of television I've seen in the last decade. To get me really riled, to get me really emotionally distraught and unsettled, and like, my God. If those kinds of votes, if that mob mentality vote held any actual weight, with all the anonymity in the world, with all the people who are the armchair, critics and haters, and they hide behind these false names they create for themselves, and create bots and algorithms that smash that down thumb and those down votes and whatever like that. And then all of the individuals who follow suit. They're part of the roving masses. They just follow suit with whatever the niche is, for better or worse. Wow. So, like, damn is all I got for you. Wow is all I got for you. I'm still kind of shaking after watching this episode. The one thing I do want to, before I forget, I do want to point out one of the points that made me laugh. Now, it was sort of prefaced by a contemporary reference that I didn't find particularly satisfying. American Idol, that kind of thing. Oh, it's a show about singing and whatever like that. But what made me fine with it was the line from Bortus, "I sing." You damn well better be singing in an upcoming episode, son of a bitch. You don't say that. You don't put that out from a character like Bortus. You don't have him say, "I'm a singer," if you're not at some point going to deliver. And it better be awesome sauce from left to right of the screen when it happens. I'm desperate for that now. But yeah, this was a spectacular, and I'm just going to say, like, conservatively, this was an 11 out of 10, this episode. Conservatively. This episode pushed it to 11. It was hardcore drama, compelling intensity, dripping wet with anxiety, and just a disturbing, sort of exploration of what our world could very much turn into, what it kind of sort of is. There is no truth, there are no facts, but the facts as the people decide them, the fake news, all of that brouhaha, all of that nonsense, all of that absurdity. And this is the form and function of this society, this alien culture. And again, it just floored me. And I liked the little, just peppering in the very minute essence of hope in the end, that the cafe girl turns the TV off rather than just walking, hearing, oh, somebody did something despicable maybe, and going over and hitting the downvote. And I'm glad they didn't have her just as blindly hit the upvote for whoever that guy was, for whatever he did, allegedly. She turned it off. And that's sometimes what you need to do. I'm somebody who turned off my TV in a sense. It was kind of because cable TV became unaffordable, and I decided to start paying for my mobile device, which is what I watch things on and everything like that. A lot of people have made that sort of decision in their lives. I'm gonna pay for my phone, and I'm not gonna pay for cable or satellite or any of these other things. There are streaming services nowadays and all that kind of stuff. And to get away from the mind-numbing garbage, the reality TV, the news, the syndicated news organizations that just spew forth agendas left, right, and center, you need to remove yourself from that. But the thing is, it's online too. You're on Facebook. How many false, news stories are being put into your feed because somebody likes it or somebody shares it or somebody... why do we need fact-checking sites? Because there is sometimes a blindness to those things. And this turns that whole concept on its ear to say, what if society was governed by that mentality? So, yeah. Wow. My applauds, Mr. McFarlane, and the entire cast of the Orville and all of the producers. This was a hell of an episode. Terrified me to my core with how closely it cut to home. And I can only hope people are watching, are objectively listening to that message and getting the point. And I hope there are people who are reevaluating. I mean, there's been a lot of divisiveness in the fandoms of the Orville and of Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek in general. And I would really hope this would appeal to those people who have been thus far very knee-jerk, impetuously reactionary, in their down-thumbing and judging other people. And I would hope this would give them pause and let them self-reflect a little bit and think about, well, how am I really conducting myself after all? Treat unto others, do unto others as you would want to be treated, that kind of thing. And probably not in the mass majority. People are it's gonna go over their head. That message, that whole idea, what this show was really, the notion it was exploiting and putting under the microscope, it's probably going to be lost on a lot of people. But it wasn't lost on me. And I know there are a lot of people it won't be lost on. And that's the hope. That's where I find the hope for the future. And, yeah, so that's really all I have to say about Episode 7 of the Orville Majority Rule. Spectacular. Just the best Orville episode out of all of them. And again, probably one of the best, pseudo hours, 42 minutes, whatever it is, of TV, of entertainment programming that I have seen, as far as being thought-provoking and engrossing and entirely disconcerting, that I've seen in a long time. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of this particular episode of the Orville, if you saw it as well, if you found it to be even remotely nearly as unsettling and disturbing a concept, an idea as I did. If if it rubbed you the wrong way, love it or hate it, anything goes in the comments below. Just love having that conversation. Our POVs can certainly disagree, as I always have a tendency to say. It's all about the topic of talk. But I would love to know if anyone did not find this episode to be as engrossing, or did not find it to be as, persuasive to this cause, to this idea, to this message, and unsettling and all those things. You know, I'm sure there are people who exist who will tell me this was utter garbage. This was the worst episode yet. It had no redeeming factors. I will vehemently disagree with you, but that is what this public forum is for. This social media platform is for, to have great discussions about such fantastic things like this episode was. So yeah, otherwise it'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.